Hey
Hi,
guys.
hey, welcome to the Booth Brothers. We're back. It is Tuesday night, of course, so it's Wednesday morning for me. But here with us in the booth, as always, is Molina Mike. Hi, Mike.
Yo, what's going on, Mark? What's going on, Joey? How you boys doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
And that, of course, is the very famous voice of Joey Ryan. Now, we have another packed show for you tonight, an hour of fun. And what we'd like you guys to do is get involved in the chat. You can send some messages. We've got a very, very special guest coming up very, very soon. Her name is Monica Webb, fresh from the Battle of the Sexes. She's going to be talking about all the stuff that's going on in that tournament and all the stuff that's going on in her life. How's she been coping with COVID? And we're going to talk about her beautiful pool hall and a very special table that I want to really ask her about. And do you know what, guys?
I heard about it. I ain't seen it yet, though.
You know what? You know I love doing my accents, Mike, and you cringe, don't you, every time I do it? When I've done my
Depends.
Well, I'm going to do
You
a
nail
little
the
song.
English one, though.
I'm actually gonna sing to Monica tonight. I've rewritten the words to a very, very famous song. Have you heard of the song "The Devil Went Down to Georgia"? You know this song?
Just put on your PayPal up here, and I'll send some cash. It's where we can all go and tip you. Then, you know.
Oh boy.
Pay by
I'll
the
tell you
tune.
what, you'll tip me not to sing. Trust me.
Oh.
So,
You're probably right.
are we going to get? Can you all hear us? But by the way, guys, let us know in the chat and let us know if you can hear us loud and clear. Can you see us? And give us a shout out. And if you want to send us a message of any kind, you're welcome to do so. And also, any questions at all for Monica Webb, the legend Monica Webb. She's such a great gal, and can't wait to speak to her. And I think we're going to get her up very soon, aren't we, Joey?
Yeah, we are. And I see we got some people chiming in. There's Aaron Gillette. Mark, do you remember when Sky was playing Roberto up there? Aaron's the guy in the white hoodie. Yeah. And Ryan Fedora from out here in Arizona. There's Jennifer from Florida from the dungeon.
Rubster. MVP this weekend, Jen was.
Oh, yeah. She was keeping all the stats. And we're going to talk quite a bit about that match, too. Did you want to jump to the special guest, Mark, or you want to get into that match first?
So I think, should we have a quick chat about Skyler and Dennis? Because everyone else is talking about it. So we should as well, right, guys?
Well, yeah, and Molina was there. So I want to get his firsthand account. He was doing a good job doing some interviews, got Dennis into an interview out in the on the picnic table. So tell us, Mike, what was it like being there?
It was what I come to expect from what they do out there with Omega Mike and Phil and Rackham. They had it at Sticks and Stones, which is the same place they had Tony and Chip playing at. Great pool room. It being on a bar table was really nice because it really allowed for seating. And I mean, when it comes to the match, what can you say? I mean, I don't know if you boys saw it, but I mean that was the epitome of a sweat. You know, it was back and forth. Pretty much after day one, you know, because day one was more the Sky show than anything else. But yeah, I mean, it was exciting, man. It was the best rotation pool I've seen in quite some time, and full of swings. Joey, what did you think about it?
You know, I wanted action on Dennis from the start. I love Sky, don't get me wrong.
I had Dennis.
I really wanted action on Dennis because he's just Dennis. He's the number one money player in the world. And so I'm like, man, this has got to be stealing, right? I mean, I know Sky plays great, but this is Dennis Orcullo.
He hadn't been playing.
Yeah. And, you know, after day one, it's like, wow, Sky really is the bar box master, you know? And so I'm just expecting him to keep increasing his lead. And then day two, Dennis collars him, or almost collars him on day two, collars him on day three. And then I'm like, oh, well, here comes Dennis. Okay, this is how it's going to end. But then Sky is showing so much heart at the end. I want to say I posted something was 137 or somewhere in that neighborhood. And I'm like, oh, we're in for one here. And then somebody actually said something today about the push that Dennis had. When was it? It was, Mike, I don't remember. Was it 145, 141? And
Sky goes and breaks the balls and then scratches.
No. I'm talking about the one where Dennis pushes out and was trying to push to opportunity to play a kick safe, and Sky ends up curling around the ball and making it. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, so that was the final rack. Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
Dennis was looking at two different options. Dennis was looking at two different options, but he was looking more on the bottom right of the table. And then when he actually stepped over there to go and take a look at the angle, he decided against it, and he did not go back and take a look at what the left side was offering. He just assumed that he was going to go and get it. And you know how it is in pools sometimes, man. Sometimes you just roll up and you get that like perfect window. And I know he did have to go and spin it just a little bit. But yeah, I think it was just more of fatigue because Dennis should have really been. I mean, it cost him. That didn't cost him the match, but that cost him the end of the match, if that makes sense. So um, Dennis just didn't go and take a look. But yeah, it was crazy, man. I had Dennis going into it small. I like to do my homework a little bit, but it's tough because I hadn't seen Sky go and play. Obviously, we had him on here, and he was talking a big game, and but Sky's young, Sky's confident. I was kind of taking it with a grain of salt. And the day I get there, I see Dennis go on break. The night I got there, I saw Dennis go on break, including the next day. Uh, and it was he was inconsistent. And I knew that wasn't going to be good. If there's a liability about his game, it's his 10-ball break. And literally probably, I want to say like 15 minutes before showtime, I'm watching Sky warm up, and I saw his break, and I fired a bullet on Sky to go and offset all the action I had on him on Dennis, and then
Hedge your bets.
go and take Sky. No, I mean, like, I ended up having money on Sky at the end, but it was literally like at the final minute, and I got it in even when everybody was getting in odds. So I guess I'm a sucker in that regard. But Dennis made it a sweat, man. I mean, it was crazy. I thought that any given moment when those swings were happening, that either one of them were going to fold. Like Dennis was going to cave day one and just say, I'm out because, Sky was just too much. He comes back. Then day two, they're kind of like exchanging haymakers. Day three, Dennis finally ties it, I think it was. Or it was the end of day two. Dennis finally ties it at like 80, which was crazy. And I actually left because it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I have my family with me. So I go back to the hotel room and watching the end of it there. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, there's no way Sky's going to end up with the lead because that's a lot of pressure, man. Like to go and handle that from being up that big to having someone like Dennis at your heels to him taking a 3-game lead at 83-80. I was expecting Dennis to be up by quite a bit. So when I got up Sunday morning, I couldn't believe that Sky had a 5-game cushion. But it felt like, and from everybody that I talked to, that even though Sky had the cushion, that Dennis is in it and Dennis is going to win. There was a lot of guys that even though Sky had a 5-game lead, wanted no part of taking Sky from that point, right? Because it would have been a 55-50 race at that point.
Yeah, I
was pretty blown away.
I love the jokes out there, right? Because everybody was like, "Give me 2-1, I'll take Sky on day one," and then on day two, they were like, "Give me 2-1, I'll take Dennis."
Yeah.
It was kind of funny.
But I was saying, man, like I was saying I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them won by 20 games, and I took Sky day one by the game, plus in the overall. But yeah, I mean, it was like a heavyweight fight, like the full fight of just exchanging haymakers. You think they're gonna go and crack, they didn't, and I was fortunate enough to go and get Dennis to do an interview. I know a lot of people were saying he looked tired. Man, I tell you, I walked in that pool room an hour before then, and Dennis's focus was unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I've been to a lot of matches that Dennis is involved in. His break was completely different, and I thought at that point Sky's in big trouble because Dennis was so consumed with finding that break to the point where it was kind of just wearing him down mentally. You know, he was. It was just a lot for him. And when he finally did find it, he came back and made it a great match. And a lot of people thought that Dennis was going to win, myself included. It was pretty epic. It was a pretty special match. And I'm not the biggest bar table pool fan. I don't like bar table tournaments because it's like one mistake and you're done. It can be kind of boring and repetitive. But because of the length of the race, it made for some special moments where they were trading, man. There's no other way to go and put it. They were going back and forth with it. And at the end of it, Sky held on. And he had this look, man. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, like where you just knew that this kid is confident, And he wasn't going to be pushed around by the moment. He wasn't going to be pushed around by Dennis. He wasn't going to be pushed around by the environment. There's a few players, I think, in pool that really go and embrace big moments. And Albin Ocean is one that comes to mind. And off the top of my head, because when the pressure's on, Albin can come with it. And Sky's the other one. You know, when it's time to go and come with a shot or to fight back, Sky's one of those guys you want in your foxhole, man. You know, yeah, it was pretty great. I'm looking forward to either a rematch, and I know Dennis's team is in on it. And also, I get a message. I think it was Friday, maybe Saturday, from my buddy Sean Damani, who was out there in Vegas. He messages me and he's like, "Mike, Shane's pissed and Shane wants next." And I was like, "Well," I'm like, "Can I post it?" You know, that's my first question. "Hey, can I put it online?" And he was like, "Hold on, he's in the middle of a match." And I said, "Okay." So then fast forward like another hour later, he said, "Go for it, Mike." And then he FaceTimes me and Shane's right there. And he kind of gives me like the, "Yeah, go ahead." And Shane's serious, man. We'll talk about some details as to why later on. But
Well, I got the flyer here for that match already. I don't know. Did you?
Well,
yeah. So it's the battle of hairstyle.
I was thinking about a different flyer. Yeah, no, it's I think from what I'm hearing, Shane's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder right now when it comes to his game, and that's dangerous for everybody in pool. You know, when Shane's determined and Shane's focused, pool's in a different place. I think, you know, he's one of those few players that can really go and get the whole sport excited, and with a bit of a buzz. So I'm hearing he's ready to go and be on it this year. And start off with calling out the winner of these two, along with agreeing to go and play Dennis the same format that they went hill on last time. So
how great is this for American pool? We have an American pool player calling out Shane. When's the last time that happened, right? Sky's like, "Shane, you're next." And I think that's just great for American pool. Shane's coming back and saying we got to cut the hair if whoever wins, which is funny.
I like it, man.
Yeah, and Mark, I'm curious to get your take, being from Europe. There's not a whole lot of bar box pool over there, but who would you like to see if somebody was going to come across the pond and play Sky? Because Sky's got an open challenge now. Anybody that wants action on the bar box has it. In fact, he's had that for years, but I think it's reestablished right now that anybody can get played. Who would you like to see come over from Europe and play him?
The obvious one, of course, is Fedor, but I'd also like to see Jason Shaw play.
Bar boxes, though.
I'd like to see Jason Shaw. I don't like bar box myself. I don't think it's a real game. A lot of people won't like me for saying that, but I just think it's sort of like playing snooker on a half-size table, if you like. It's a bit not for me. Yeah. I don't really like it, to be honest. If I was that bothered about it, really, I would have made the extra effort. I had a few little problems trying to get onto the stream, trying to pay for it, but couldn't for some reason. But it didn't really worry me that much, to be honest. I actually thought the chat was more entertaining than... I know the game was entertaining as well, but I was enjoying the chat, especially with Amanda Thorpe, of course, and Deborah. Deborah was there as well. And by the way, just on that subject...
That was
go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just on that subject, we will have Deborah on next week's show along with Amanda Thorpe as well, and we've got something very special to talk to them about as well, haven't we, guys?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, she was out there. It was pretty sweet to go and see Sky's family like rooting him on, and his son was out there the entire time, and never seen a baby that well behaved in my life. It makes me want to get after my girls, because I'm like, how is this kid so quiet and so well behaved in a pool room? They were cheering him on. He just had everybody behind him, and you can say that's added pressure for him. You can also say that's tough for Dennis to go and fade because there was a lot of cheering one-sidedly. But Texas is kind of like, we've adopted Sky. I know he's from Kentucky, but he's had a lot of success here in Texas at the Open. And so this is kind of like a home court advantage for him, you can go and say. It really made the dynamic pretty interesting. I know at times Dennis got frustrated with it, and rightfully so. At times it kind of got a little disrespectful, a little out of hand. But it's part of it. He's a professional, and it's crazy, man. Like 5 seconds after it's over, I was messaging Oscar the next day, but 5 seconds after it's over, some kid wanted to get his cue ball signed, and Dennis, like in all of his defeat and everything, still stopped what he was doing and signed the kid's cue ball and made his day. And that's the kind of professional
awesome.
that he is. And
were you talking about Oscar Dominguez there, Mike?
Yeah. Me and Oscar were messaging today, and I was telling him, because we were talking about how Dennis had a lot to fade during that match, you know, and then I just, that was one thing that I took away from it, was just how great Dennis is for doing that, because that's a tough spot for someone to go and ask for an autograph. And he had, you know, I would have been fine if he would have been like, not right now, but he didn't. He stopped what he was doing. He goes and signs the kid's autograph for him after losing money, and I know he got staked for some of it, but he also had money of his own on it that he went and lost. So at a pretty interesting time, and I think it really shows what he's made of. At the end of the day, they both have a lot of respect for each other. They were battling one another, but they have a lot of respect for each other.
Yeah, Oscar is in the chat at the moment. Actually, he's asking. By the way, I just want to say something. I feel sorry for the person that's doing all the captions at the moment, doing all the captions for Facebook, because he's keeping up with Mike. I don't know how they do it. You speak so fast, Mike. Motor mouth, Mike.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's great. I love it. Can we go to the chat very, very quickly? Oscar's saying, who do you like between Archer and Earl?
No, he's giving me a hard time. Yeah, here's the thing. I lose one bet to Oscar, and I say I'll take Earl over Johnny, right? And ever since then, any chance he can go and get, he'll remind me of the fact. And I probably haven't even paid him. I probably air barreled Oscar over that $100.
How much do you owe you? How much do you owe you?
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Boy. But every chance he gets, he goes and reminds me of it. And I would take Earl again over Johnny, Oscar, any day. Rack them up. Let's go.
Lots of other people. Again. We got Holly watching. Jennifer says she'd like to see Fedor. Shaw's a great one too. She says, and also Filler. What about Joshua Filler? Right, that's the big one, isn't it? That's like the heavyweight championship. You were saying earlier on, Mike, about how it was toe to toe all the time, toing and throwing. And if it was a boxing match, they would have stopped it day two. I would have thought it was so close.
Yeah, and you know, Jennifer in the chat, she was the MVP of keeping track of the racks run and the stats. It was great. You know, the guys commentating, they were doing a really good job calling the match, but they were having a hard time, which I know is really hard when you commentate a match, to try to keep up with how many is he broken ran now? You know, or is this a 3-pack or a 4-pack? And she came correct with all the stats. So they were actually asking for her, hey, is he on 3? Is he on 4? And they did a great job, Jennifer. And there was another guy in there, Alf or something, and they were keeping track of all the stats, and it was super cool. And those two guys, you're right, Mike, true professionals. And we have a true professional here tonight as a guest. We probably talk about Sky and Dennis for the whole hour, but I really want to make sure that we get to this. And Mark, do you want to go ahead and introduce her?
Yeah, well, this is one of my favourite female players. She's playing in the Battle of the Sexes at the moment, which she played today. We want to talk to her about that. But she really is one of my favourite people that play pool. And the reason is she puts these great videos on Facebook every day from TikTok. She's plays some great music behind it as well. And she's just a fun person, and she's a real character, and I love her. And her name is Monica Webb.
Hey, here she is.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Monica.
Hey, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you, too.
Looking as cool as ever in your hat. That's one thing I've noticed about you, Monica. You do love a bit of style, don't you, on and off the table?
I shop a little bit, yeah. Yeah, I shop a little bit.
So, right, let's. The reason I want to talk to you, one of the main reasons I want to talk to you, is about your lovely pool room, and you've got this amazing table, and Mike's interested in that table as well. Tell us about this special table you have in your bar.
Let's see.
Oh, it's an antique Brunswick, and it's a 10-foot table. So
nice.
I think we don't know the exact year it was built. I think it was around 1926, something like that. So it came from up north somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but it plays phenomenal. It's been completely restored. Tony Crosby, he actually does that. He's the one that restored it for me. He lives in Florida, Tony Crosby.
Oh, yeah. The sniper.
He was my coach for a couple of years as well.
Right, talking about you playing, actually, I watched you today on the Battle of the Sexes. First of all, I'd like to get your opinion on how, there's this big surge now. Matchroom are doing it, getting more women involved in the men's game, which I'm a great advocate of. I love it. I think women should be playing in all the tournaments with the men. I do a lot of work with Nate Mindham also. He does a lot of good stuff for the virtual game and keeping players earning some money during this crazy situation we've been going through. One thing I don't like about the competition, correct me if I'm wrong, or just tell me your opinion on. First of all, I don't like the name of it, Battle of the Sexes. It's like, again, you're pitting men against women. What do you think about that?
I agree. But then again, if it draws people in to watch, you at the end of the day, you won, right? If you get more people to watch, that's what it's all about. But yeah, it gets old.
Yeah, exactly what I thought.
You don't really have to deal with it so much nowadays, but 15 years ago, it was a little bit different, even 20 years ago, I've been playing a long time, so it was very different, and we've been through all that and kind of came out on the other end, and it's not that big of a deal. Every top men player has lost to a top women's player now. It's not that rare anymore.
Mm-hmm.
When we're having tournaments, of course, not in the middle of a pandemic, but I mean, I could just name so many matches in pro tournaments, open events, where women have taken. I've won some open men's events that were, virtually pro level speed. Tommy Kennedy's open events in the Southeast. So and that doesn't mention even Allison or Kelly or Guy Young. Jasmine Ocean.
Monster.
It's been so long now. It kind of gets old to talk about it anymore. Male and female.
Yeah, I apologize for bringing it up. It was just that
it's all
got my
right.
goat. I got my goat a little bit.
It's a little annoying. I guess I could just say my feeling for it was just a little bit annoyed, and it's like, eh. But at the end of the day, I guess if it brings more eyeballs to our sport, we win.
Yeah. So Monica, we were talking. We were talking before you came on the air, and you've been playing professionally for over 20 years now. And I would just like to get your perspective on the ladies' game over those 20 years. Do you believe it's evolved? And, tell us your thoughts on that.
Definitely. It evolved when Allison came over. Hands down. Everybody's game just went up, and that's when I was trying to qualify for the tour, and Allison came over, and she was just winning everything, as you guys all know. We all know the story. we watched it forever. But yeah, it's a privilege to have played in that era where, right when I was trying to make it on tour, Allison Fisher storms on the scene and just completely disrupts the standard par and just raises everything, level up, right?
Yeah.
And then here comes, Kelly, and then the Asian invasion, Karen Core. I guess I'm honored to have played on this tour when I think it was the most difficult tour in the world, the WPBA at one time. People need to remember that the WPBA pretty much is responsible for women's pool today. That's all that there was in women's pool for a long time. So big props to the WPBA in that aspect. And it was such a brilliant tour with all the best players in the world competing in pretty much all the events. So it's a privilege to play and have seen that and gone through that metamorphosis. And here we are with, Kelly and Allie. They're about to compete against the guys once more here soon, right?
Yeah, she done really well, didn't she, in the Predator event, Kelly? And now we're going to see them together in the doubles. Some great pairings in that. I think it's going to be very interesting.
I think what is so interesting is that we're getting more eyeballs watching it. Like I said, I've seen it so much because I'm at these tournaments. I watch them, avidly, and I've been doing it for, like we said, 20 years. It makes me feel so old, but so I've been seeing it for a long time, but there's a lot of people that has never seen it. And it is nice for people to see the women competing with the men firsthand.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely right. And go on, carry on.
It's interesting for people, I think. Yeah.
It's different because girls will be looking up to. Girls will be. It's all that work that happened over the last couple of decades to get to this point to have Kelly and Allison go and play in the matchroom event, but without what's been going on, there wouldn't be that opportunity, I don't think. So it's great because like my daughters will see that, and that'll be their normal, right? Which is phenomenal, So and it's because of women like you.
I agree completely. And also something I would like to add is not only did the women's game transform and level up big time, but so did the men's in the last, 20 years. The men's game has, think of that, where that has gone. Yeah. I mean, they've leveled up themselves.
Let me ask you something very quickly, Monica.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, carry on.
The women have made great strides in that fact as well. If you think, that they have came up almost even with the men, or is even with the men, when the men have gone up as well, they've taken it to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Would you say that it's a lot of that has got to do with the European invasion as well? That a lot of the Europeans now are bringing a new style, I think, to Paul. They're bringing the stressing the importance of fundamentals and technique, and really reinventing. They're bringing the snooker game more to the pool game. Do you see that?
Yes, absolutely. They're extremely offensive. I think the offensiveness that has came in the men's game in the last 15 years, to me, I think is the biggest thing I've seen to make an impact on their game. It opened up their minds, everybody's minds. It opened up everybody's minds as to what you should go for and what runouts are, feasible, and kick safeties. That came from, a little bit earlier than the European invasion from the Philippines and stuff. But yeah, I think, if you play more games like snooker, and then like Efren, he played all the games, one pocket and so forth. The more games you play, the better player you're going to be, and the more open your mind becomes. So here comes these snooker players, and they don't think our table is that tough. So they're just firing all these balls in, not really caring so much where their cue ball lands as much as we were. We were almost making the game tougher than what it really was at one point. And then we see these people that they don't step into our sport with any preconceived biases, and they just play the game like they would coming straight off of the.
Yeah, I think, Mike, before you were mentioning, when you were talking about one pocket, you said how differently that the Europeans play it, like Joshua Filler. You get them on one pocket, tell them how to play it, and they play it a completely different way. They just attack.
Yeah, they see it completely different. No, go ahead, Monica.
I think it opens up your mind when you see stuff like that, when you're around it. They might tone it down a little bit, but you're going to raise it up as well. Yeah, and you guys were talking about the bar table. Like the bar table, that opens up your mind as to what you can go for offensively on a 9-foot.
Yeah, Monica, what you just said was kind of interesting, because I thought of two things. One, Kelly was on and talking about CLP, and she said the main difference between the guys and the girls there was just the aggression that the guys play with. So they're taking on banks all the time, whereas, she looks at a shot like that and she'd be more inclined to play safe. And then you mentioned the bar box, and Sky and Dennis, if you watch that match this weekend, it was like there was never a bank shot they didn't love. You know, it's like they weren't even thinking safe unless they absolutely had to, you know. And I'm curious, when you do play against the guys, do you find that kind of rubs off on you a little bit, or do you tend to be a more aggressive player anyway?
I definitely, when I watch pool, it's like you're learning just from, watching it there. It's like an imprint, and you just start seeing those more aggressive patterns more easily after you watch someone more aggressive than you play. It might improve your game because you stop playing so conservatively. You challenge yourself and level up, like we're talking about. But yeah, I just think, if you play a lot of games, you can apply it to pool in general. It opens up your mind. You have to have an open mind in this game and be creative. It's a very creative game.
I've got a very interesting question in the chat, actually, from Keith Allen Price, who asks, have there ever been any real big money matches between men against women? Monica, do you know? Or Mike?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There's a lot of women that have been gamblers. I've gambled my whole life. And pretty much 99% of most of my matches were against men my whole life.
What's your biggest scalp you've had, Monica? In tournament play, I'm talking about now. What would you describe as? You was talking about men playing against women. What's your biggest scalp?
Playing in an open event?
Yeah.
Okay. I won a Tommy Kennedy Southeastern Open event. That had all the best players from around here, like Johnny and all the people in the Southeast. A lot of players from Florida. And then I played at a Seminole Hard Rock Seminole Timball Tour in Florida. And I took second, third, and then the Steve Miserak Timball tournament in Hollywood at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Wow. I took fifth, sixth in it. That was out of like close to 200 players, I think.
Wow.
So,
speaking of money matches with men and women, Donnie out of Florida played C Ming in a real big promoted money match with Roy's Basement. And that
twice,
was great.
wasn't it?
That was a great
Didn't
match.
they play twice?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
she won both times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think C Ming also played, I know Roy had streamed when C Ming had played Efren, I think, out in Vegas. I mean, it's nothing. Yeah, there's been plenty.
Girl power.
And won.
So, yeah. Hey, Monica, I want to give the viewers a chance to find out a little bit more about your room. And so I took a screenshot from the internet that I'm going to put up now, and I haven't had dinner yet. And I got to tell you, this just looks amazing. This is from your,
look at that.
Yeah, look at that. This is from your Facebook page there at Sticks Bar and Grill. And tell folks a little bit more. Obviously, they can go to Facebook. They can check it out. But tell them a little more what to expect when they get to your room.
Atmosphere, that's for sure. Friendly staff. I'd say always the word that comes to my mind with my pool room after we opened back up after the pandemic. I remodeled it, and now I just think it's sexy. I think the pool room is just sexy inside. I love it.
Brilliant.
And it's the color of carpet that I always wanted, and like the red carpet. I love those pool rooms with red carpet,
Yeah.
Finally got that 10-foot table in there. That was like really super exciting for me. I was pumped on that. Totally pumped.
We actually have a video.
How was it?
We have a couple of your videos playing on that table, I think.
Yeah.
Should we roll those, Mark? Let me see if
let's play them.
Let's see if I can get the screen share working. Hold on, stand by.
And one of my ambitions, on my bucket list, Monica, is to come and play you. When I visit the States at the end of this year, I want to come and play you on this 10-foot table.
Oh, Mark,
you're welcome anytime.
I'd love to.
You're going to get robbed, Mark.
I don't care. I don't care.
I want to bet on Monica.
You'll love it down here. You'll love it.
I'll tell you what, I'll shave my head before I come.
I'm telling you, the people in my town are so nice.
I want 10-1 to take Mark. I need 10-1 at least. Here we go.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't it?
Look at that table.
Look at the room. Look at the color of the carpet. She's not wrong, is she? Look, beautiful.
Yeah. You shoot fast, Monica. Sped up a little.
Well, I sped that up a little bit, but I've been trying to speed my game up a little.
She's hitting them like it's a
The more
bar
I play,
table.
the faster.
You know?
Look at some of the shots she makes here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just remember, this is a 10-footer, right? This isn't a bar box. This is
This
the
is a
real
10
deal.
footer.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
hitting them
And
good.
it took me a while. This is one of the first racks I shot on it, and it's taken me a while to move the cue ball like I'm supposed to. I kept ending up like 2 feet short on everything.
I wonder why.
You have to completely change your muscle memory, I swear.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's such a funny comment in the chat. Kenneth Felton says, I think Mark should grow a mullet if he loses to Monica. That's clever.
I agree. I think that's
I like that bet.
I think
Yeah.
it sounds fair.
Yeah.
I had one in the 80s, actually, believe it or not.
This looks like it might
Let's
be.
find that picture.
Is this a 9-footer?
That's a 9-footer at my house. This is the pool room that I'm sitting in right now.
Oh,
You can
nice.
see my drum set back there.
Oh, sweet.
So you play drums, huh?
Yeah, I love the drums. I love it.
That's cool.
You really do love your music, don't you, Monica? I like the music that you put. You put one on the other day, and it had The Weeknd behind it. I just love that group, The Weeknd. You know, he's fantastic,
Me
isn't he?
too. They're wonderful. I love music. Always have. Grew
Well, I'm
up
glad-
listening to music with my mom.
I'm glad you mentioned music because in a minute I've rewritten a
Oh,
song,
boy.
very famous song. Now I love
I want to hear it.
the
Heard.
guys. The guys will tell you I love accents, and I love your accent. It's great, and I always try and do the accent of the person that we're talking about. So I'm going to try and do your accent. It's not going to be very good, but I'm going to do it in the style of singing because your place is in Georgia, right?
Yes, that's right.
Right, so I chose the song The Devil Went Down to Georgia, but I've sort of rewritten it. So when we finish watching you run this amazing table,
Yeah, look at this. You were playing that ball like that?
Yeah, we were doing a 2+ rails for banks.
Oh,
You have to
nice.
make it 2 or
That's
more
right.
rails.
That's wrong.
Check this one out. Check this one out, Mark.
The 3-railer.
Yeah, you wanna play her, right,
It
Mark?
was a hanger. Yeah.
You want to
Start
play
going
her,
now,
Mark White?
pal.
I do want to play her, but I know I'll lose and forget the mullet. I'm going to get some hair extensions, I think, to bring the mullet on a little bit. I'm not sure I can.
I'll hook you up. I have a hairdresser here that you would love.
Yeah.
You're going
Hook
home
'em
with
up.
a mullet. I'm gonna practice really hard before you get here.
So can I
The
sing to
funniest thing
you?
is,
Go on, Mike, go on.
no, I would say the funniest thing is, so I logged on a little bit ago before we started, and my Bluetooth and was hooked up. So Mark didn't know I was in the thing, and he was singing it. So I got a little sneak peek of what's to come, and I tell you, it's pretty hilarious. So come on, let's hear it.
You know, we had that pre-production meeting, guys, and I was feeling really good about the show until Mark tells me that he's made up this song for Monica, and then I've been nervous all day since he told me that. So, all right, Mark, let's have it.
Okay, this is especially for you, Monica, because you're one of my favourite players ever.
I can't
Okay,
wait.
are you ready for this? Monica went down
No.
to Georgia. She was looking for a sword of steel. She was in a blind because she was way behind, but she was willing to make a deal. When she came across this young man queuing on the table and playing it hot, and Monica jumped up with her cue stick and said, "Hey, boy, I'll tell you what. I guess you didn't know that I'm a
Kick us
full
off
player.
Facebook.
Hey. I guess you didn't know, but I'm a pole player too. And if you care to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. Now, you play pretty good, old boy, but give this girl a cue. I'll challenge you on my 10-foot, and I'll win because I'm better than you."
All right, that wasn't too bad. I like it. What'd you think, Monica?
Yeah.
Have you ever
I
had
think it
somebody?
was brilliant.
You ever have somebody from the UK serenade you?
I've never been serenaded by someone outside of the United States. So there you have it.
That's awesome.
Oh,
You got
dear,
me.
oh, dear.
Pal.
I love that. It's wonderful.
Mark worked hard on that, didn't you,
Custom
Mark?
lyrics.
Well, not really. Took me about
He must have.
5
It was
minutes to
almost
do
like
that.
a rap. It was
He
almost
Yeah.
wrote
like
it.
a rap,
Yeah, he
right?
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of just rewrote a few lyrics, you know.
It's got a little like T.I. Southern soul, you
It
know.
worked. It worked,
like
Mark,
it.
for sure,
Yeah.
bro. I like giving you a hard time, but you did good, pal.
Oh, stop it! I'm blushing. I was really nervous. I really get nervous when I have to do something like this.
Well,
Hey,
you
Monica.
have to make sure you visit.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Make sure you visit me though. We'll play music. We'll play pool.
That's all I want out of my life. Play pool, listen to great music, have a few beers. What beer do you like to have a beer?
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. First round's on you.
No problem.
So
everything.
Monica, 2020 was kind of a mess, right? And so now we're in 2021. There's hope on the horizon. There's vaccines. You know, it seems like things are slowing down from the pandemic point of view. What are your plans for 2021 with your room and your pool career?
I needed to remodel my pool room, and that's kind of what I did. I took advantage of being closed and did that during the process. So I pivoted a little bit with had to get creative for business because you don't know what this pandemic is going to be next year. If we're going to have another surge. I just, I try to think of everything, and after being hit with a pandemic, it's like, I didn't think of a freaking pandemic. I thought of everything, but I didn't think of a pandemic. So now you put that on your plate too. What if next year something happens again, So you get creative and pivot your business and try to adapt. So that's what we did, and it's working out really well. It was exhausting, I'll tell you that. Being shut down forcibly, it was something that was very difficult to wrap my head around. I kept wanting to get in my car and go somewhere, and I would remind myself there's nowhere to go, there's no one open. Yeah. It was really crazy. But
what do you drive? You drive a pickup truck?
A Jeep. I drive a Jeep.
I knew you'd drive something like that. I just knew you would.
Yeah.
Love it. Have you seen our caption competition?
I'm sorry?
Have you seen our caption competition of the pool table on the back of the truck? Have you seen that? That one?
No.
Look at that.
No. Have Q will travel.
Oh, like that. See? Yeah,
you might have won it.
You might have won it, actually. You've got to give her the prize, though, again, Joey.
Yeah. So the deal is, Monica, that when we have a caption competition every week, and if somebody in the United States wins it, I have to send them a prize. If somebody overseas wins it, Mark sends them a prize. And somehow Mark always picks somebody in the United States. I don't know.
Go figure.
Oh.
Actually, it brings a whole new meaning to the term car. Yeah, it brings a whole new meaning to the term carpooling, doesn't it? You have that out there, right? Carpool.
He needs to show that on film.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Shall we get Monica to choose the best one?
Yeah, why don't we?
Yeah, why don't we? Would you mind, Monica? We've got a few captions that people have sent in here. One person says, I hope it doesn't break down. Kind of like Sky and Billy's mullets, business in the front, party in the back.
That's awesome. So far, so good on both.
That's a new way to run the table. We got Del Sim in again, who says, good safety on the top rail. If you have a look at that, imagine how'd you get to the top rail?
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Have to shoot from the back seat.
Business in the front, party in the back. That's pretty strong.
It is, isn't it? This table is on another level, the not leveled level. That's from Michael Salmon. I kind of like that. Dominic Dunn's come in with one. A new meaning to taking your ball and going home. I kind of like that one as well. So, which one's the winner? Monica?
I think business in the front, party in the back. I mean, that's got to be it.
That's the winner.
It's a good choice.
Who was that, Mark? Who said that one?
That was Kevin Hark Raider.
Oh, okay.
I think he's in America, so you know what that means, Joey.
Yeah, I'll have to get him a prize. I got some ideas. My buddy Travis with 1PKT around the corner here, lives around the corner from my house, just came out with some new stickers, and he's got the hats or something. I'll figure out something and get it out to him. So if he's listening, go ahead and message us. on Facebook,
If I
and
would
we'll
have
get
known
you out
those were the
that prize.
gifts, I would have hopped in too. If I would have known getting some one pocket gear.
Oh, you got plenty of gear, Mike. Don't even try it.
Have you got? Did you think of one, Mike, that's broadcastable at all? Have you got one? You normally come up with a good one.
No, don't put me on the spot. No. It's a fail this week.
I'd like to put Monica on the spot real quick. This is a question. Monica, I do it's called Pool Player Podcast, where I do like an hour-long interview with pros. First of all, I'd like to get you on there. So hopefully we can connect after this. I'll shoot you a message and maybe get your full interview, kind of find out all about your career and everything, and share that with the public. But one of the questions that I asked everyone that I'd like to ask you is, who would you say was your arch rival in your pool career, like somebody that gave you fits, where you really had to play to beat him, or you'd see him on the bracket and you're like, them again? Anyone like that?
For a really long time, Jeanette, until I beat her. Man, it was tough to beat Jeanette the first time. Everybody has a really hard time beating Jeanette the first time. The first time you ever beat her. She usually pounds on people for like ever until they finally, get a set in on her. She was just phenomenal like that, the way she played. And she was around me a lot, and she just pounded on me for years when I first came on tour. And I think definitely that was my worst hump to get over at one point, was beating her. And I had to get angry for me to get over that hump. I had to get some anger and find motivation that way. And then it was, a lot better after that. But she is just tough to beat. I've seen her gamble with guys and just giving them weight that's, really tough games for her. Mm-hmm. And I just bet on her all the time when she's playing, because if they haven't played Jeanette before, they don't know what they're in for. Her presence at the table is so intimidating to people.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that
she knows how to use it. She knows how to use it.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that she's tough to beat now, too, with what she's going through. I mean, we're all pulling for her. It's devastating news, but
she's never going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, just seeing how she's responded so far, and just the outpouring of support from throughout the country, it really shows the magnitude of her presence in the game, what she's meant to the game. And it's...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, another question we'd like to ask players, Monica, when we have you on is, what piece of advice would you give to somebody wanting to improve their game? What is the top tip you would give to somebody wanting to better themselves?
Watch a lot of pool. Cut out the TV and watch pool instead when you're not playing pool. And that's what I did. You learn a lot that way. Not only do you learn what the player chooses and why, but you learn from the commentators sometimes another shot that he could have chosen, instead of, there's usually one or two shots to choose from. So you learn a lot by watching and listening to the commentary of, especially nowadays with the live stream. And learn to enjoy playing by yourself. You have got to practice by yourself if you want to be one of the best in this game, because you get so much more time on the table if you don't play with someone. You have to be able to enjoy practicing, not playing someone, just playing by yourself, doing drills. You have to learn to love it. You have to. I used to hate it. I used to be spoiled. I didn't want to play unless I...
Oh, we've lost her, have we? Come back, Monica.
Come
back. She's going to come back in. I know she is.
Her connection kind of kicked out. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if we can get her back. There she is.
There she is.
I'm back now.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, Monica. And, it's like when you're talking about practicing by yourself, I know when I would go to a tournament, I'm hitting balls on a table, and as the room starts filling up, you're just like, you don't make eye contact because you don't want somebody to jump on and play you a game, while you're practicing. You just want to hit as many balls as you can to kind of get prepped for the tournament, So I think that's really great advice. Mm-hmm. And you have to put in that time, which being by yourself allows you more shots, more touches on the cue ball there. So
That's where you're gonna get your improvement.
yeah.
My final comment to you, Monica, is you mentioned about listening to commentators. I actually commentated on your the one pool women's cup match. I think it was against was it against Jennifer? It was against Jennifer Beretta, I believe. I think it was.
Possibly, I played her once, I think.
Yeah, so please don't go. You won't learn anything from my commentary. That's all I want to say. So don't go back and listen to that. Oh, we've lost her again. Oh, that's a joke wasted.
Let's see. Yeah, that's a wasted joke. But
wasted
Mark, what we do get out of your commentary is, what about the cue ball? Where's
the
going?
cue ball going?
Oh no.
Well, that's a shame we didn't get to say goodbye to Monica. Her feed kind of dropped off there, but I really enjoyed talking to her. It's the first time I've ever met her.
She's great, isn't she?
Yeah.
And you know, she talked about describing her room as sexy, and that is one word I use a lot. Actually, use a lot in my commentary when people play sexy shots, and there is such a thing as, you know, sexy shooting. It's that beautiful smooth stroke that we talk about very, very often on this show. Right. So what are we going to do next?
Your pizza like that too, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, don't mention pizzas. I've had an absolute nightmare with pizzas today. So busy, mate. So busy.
Hey, Mark, before we move on real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Board Lockpicker. Board Lockpicker is one of the sponsors of this show. This is a friend of mine from Jacksonville, Florida. Met him down there, and he's got a YouTube channel. All he asks is you go to the YouTube channel. As soon as this video is over, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to Board Lockpicker. He's got all kinds of videos on there, picking all sorts of different locks. I saw him pick an Ignition to a Honda Accord. You know, you guys could pick yourself up a vehicle or something just by learning how to pick these locks. So just kidding. You don't want to steal a vehicle. But check it out, Board Lockpicker. Subscribe to the channel. The guy loves supporting pool. And if you guys can go there and he can get 100, 200, 300 subscribers from this, then he'll continue supporting our channel as well as other events, live streams, and things like that. So check out Board Lockpicker. Each week we normally do a segment called Board Lockpicker's Locks of the Week. But this week we were kind of struggling because we're kind of in an in-between week. So I think we're going to wait till next week and actually do our Locks of the Week because there's a few big tournaments coming up at the end of April. And so if we did it now, we kind of, you know, it would be a little too premature. So I think we're going to wait till next week to come in with some good locks. What do you guys think?
Yeah, my lock last week was for Sky to win by 38 clear racks, and he thought he was going to win by 40 or 50, didn't he? I think he mentioned that figure, and it was a lot closer, wasn't it? 150, 145, was it, Mike, in the end?
Yeah, 5 games.
Mike, what was...
And, you know, a lot...
What was my lock, Mike?
I don't know. You're like De Leon sometimes. You just pick the most obvious words.
No. I want to say that my lock was it would be within 10 games. 10 games.
There you go. Well, I didn't think it would be, and I was walking out to go charge my phone for a little bit. I think it was like 140 to 133, something like that, and. Omega Mike, who we may have on next week, came up to me and he says, "Hey, if it gets tied in the mid-40s, we're going to extend it," and which is crazy to think about. And looked like it was going to happen for a little bit when Dennis was at the table, but that would have been just crazy. They had gotten, I think, all but one of the stake horses on board, and the one that wasn't on board just wasn't available. They couldn't get a hold of him, so. But had it came to that, I mean, imagine they would have extended it by, let's say, 10 more games or 15 more games or whatever. And I mean, they took a lot of breaks towards the end because, I mean, you felt like the tension in the room. And I know Mark mentioned Sky's mom, and I saw her there, and she was there rooting on her son. And at the end, she was just nervous as can be. And it's pretty special, you know, having kids. And I know you boys have kids also, to like see a parent go and like witness their son go and do something like that. So that kind of tugged at my heartstrings for sure.
Yeah.
Just going to the chat quickly, guys. We do like to involve everyone in the chat, of course. We never ignore you. We might have missed a few, but we don't mean to. There's a great question here, actually, that I would like to ask both you guys, and everyone else can comment on it, of course, as well. Brian Long asks, what do you think about meditation and visualization of the shot while not actually playing? Studies have shown the brain can't tell the difference. What do you reckon to that statement, guys?
Yeah, I think that's a great practice. In fact, this weekend I missed some of that Sky match because I was with my daughter. We were going to a soccer tournament in Arizona, and so all three of my kids play soccer. And what I tell them is what my dad told me. On the way to the event, you're visualizing. If you hear great basketball players talk about it, they're visualizing the layup, the steal, the rebound, what they're going to do when they perform. And it's the same way when you go to a pool tournament. You know, as you're preparing for that pool tournament, you think about, you meditate on what you're going to be successful at in that pool tournament, and that can really help you. I really believe in that.
Yeah. What about you, Mike?
I don't know. I never really thought about it. I just try to stay positive. That's the main thing for me. And I had a guy who I would always play that would always beat me up early on, who kind of gave me that advice, like, you know, cut that out. You start going into it negatively, you're going to miss it. You know, joking or not, you know, you're going to. So just staying positive throughout it. And obviously, I'm never going to visualize the ball going into the rail like it does sometimes. You know? But it does happen, you know.
Yeah, I've actually got a thought on this as well, which I teach it, and I also use it when I play also. And Monica Webb's just joined us, by the way. She's sorry, guys, the connection has shut off. It's okay, no problem. We loved having you on, and you must come on again. Absolutely. Sometime. You're welcome anytime, Monica. You were great fun. I knew she'd be great fun. Yeah, the point I was trying to make was, when I'm standing behind the shot, chalking my cue, I'm visualizing and I'm actually feeling it in my muscles, and I visualize the ball going there. And once I'm just down, I'm on that stroke, and it's all about the stroke. I've already played the shot in reverse in my mind, and that's the
I like that.
Visualize. Yeah, I teach it all the time. And Mike, you know what? You miss so fewer ball. You hardly miss with that technique because you're not concentrating on you're not thinking about the cue ball. You've already played it in your mind. You're playing the shot in reverse. And every person that I've ever coached with that method has improved with it. And it helps you get your cue through to the object ball rather than thinking of where the cue ball is going to go, getting your mind thinking backwards, sometimes stunting your follow through. Yeah, it's really work, really does.
You know, Mark, I was going to record a few of my practice sessions and send them to you just to get some of your advice, because I know you do coach. And I actually committed to playing in the Dynaspheres Cup, which is going to be in Maryland at the end of this month. It's a huge event. Fedor's in it. Shane's in it. They're actually playing an exhibition right before it. It's Billiard Sports Network's putting it on. And I'm really excited about it. Go ahead, Mike.
Is it the same time as the one in Florida?
Yeah. So, but I'm going to be in it. I'm competing in it. I was on the waiting list, but it opened up. And so now I've been practicing on my table. And, you know, it's just I haven't been in action lately. And something's just a little off. And, you know, you hear Monica talk about, you know, I think she said Tony was coaching her. You hear the Europeans always talk about my coach. Kelly Fisher's had the same coach for a couple decades. And in America, we don't have coaches for the most part. You know, I've never really heard of a guy that plays my speed, which is a pretty good player, but not a professional, say, oh, yeah, I was talking to my coach yesterday. We just don't have that, you know.
You never hear it here in the States.
Ever. It's almost like maybe it would be kind of an ego hit for me to say, hey, I'm working with Mark White. He's my coach, you know, but I'd like to work with Mark White. And since I do some of the technology for this show, I think we can work out a fair exchange where maybe I could get some free coaching out of you.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I want in on this then.
Do you know, I make
pro bono.
I make a very, very bold statement whenever I coach somebody. I've been doing coaching online. I've just been coaching a French guy who's actually living in the Philippines. He's obsessed with technique and break. Every element of the game he's fascinated with and obsessed with. And I've been helping him with his game. And I took his average points per rack from 4.2 to 8.1 in 3 weeks.
Wow.
I
Sign
have
me
this.
up. That's all
Yeah,
I need to hear.
I mean, I love commentating, and being a commentator, you see everything. You see all this, why they miss the shots. You see so many players making the same mistakes. Top pros making the same mistake. Sometimes I feel, little old me, I shouldn't be seeing mistakes like this in pros. What I can't tell them that they're doing that wrong, but so many top players make the same mistakes, and I'm convinced, and I learned this with 2 professional snooker referees. Actually, they bought the snooker club near where I was, and it's, by the way, Michael, Mike, you said earlier on you wanted to see me with a mullet. I've actually got a picture of me shaking hands with Jimmy White just after I'd beaten Jimmy White at this particular club, and I'm dressed in the most awful pink jumper, light blue trousers, not unlike the top you're wearing now, actually. And, I have a
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I need the picture ASAP, and that's going to be the caption of the week for next week.
Yes.
It's
no
time.
problem.
It's time.
I'm going to get ripped to pieces for this, but I don't care. I don't care.
I forget everything, Mark. Literally, and ask my wife. I forget everything. I am not going to forget this. So I'm going to be hounding you till I get that picture, and we're going to have it up for a long time to get as many entries as we can, and we'll have something good to give away.
Me and my big mouth, guys.
Mark, can I say something about that? Because I think, certain people have the gift to coach and the gift to observe. I sit there and I watch a pool match, and I can tell good pool play, but not necessarily good pool technique, right? If you ask me who has better technique, Josh Filler or Sky Woodward, I'm like, well, who ran out, and who won the match? I'm not into the nuances of technique. And so I don't think it has much to do with the level of player that you are to be able to recognize the things that you see. I think you have a gift for seeing that. And, I think that's something that, people should take advantage of. And so I'm joking around, but I'm not joking around. Prior to this tournament, I want to send you some film, or maybe we can log online and you just take a look at some of the stuff I do. I showed you that one video of me from the Super Billiards Expo where I was like up and down and up and down. And then you're like, what a terrible cue action. And that term,
you need to set aside like a week, Mark says.
that cue action. I mean, I don't even know what that means, but every European says it. So teach me what that means and help me have better cue action, please.
I remember the guy I was just telling you about, the Frenchman living in the Philippines. He's just actually come on the chat. He calls himself Sir John Burrell, and he says, that is true. Problem is that Mark doesn't do the commentary on all of my matches. I need him all the time now. So that's kind of nice. Thanks for that, John.
I mean, Mark already works 20 hours a day. What do you guys want? What time is it, Mark?
It's almost 2 a.m., I think, here in the UK.
2 a.m.
Like that.
Dedication, pal.
Hey, yeah, Mark, you had a question you wanted to throw out there. We're kind of getting short on time, and I thought it was a really good question. So I'd really like to get your guys' opinion on this, and this notion of when a player should retire, and or if a player should ever retire. And it made me think of, some incredible champion players, like somebody like a Ralph Souquet, right? Ralph Souquet still plays pool at an exceptionally high level, but for how long?
In
the next 5 years, he's going to be at the point where he's going to start seeing his game start to decline. It has to, unless he just defies all odds,
I've got a theory on this. I believe it's the viewers and the fans that want the player to retire, because they are not seeing that player perform how they're used to seeing them perform. Or promoters, as you say. The reason I asked this was actually about the person we were talking about earlier, or I was talking about, Jimmy White, and everyone's screaming for him now to retire because, enough's enough. You've been in 6 world finals, you haven't won any of them. Okay, he's won some big ranking events. He's been runner-up in the Worlds, as I said, 6 times to Stephen Hendry. He's just been beaten again. Stephen Hendry's come out of retirement.
Yeah, I
They
saw
drew
that.
each other in the first round of the World Championship
That's pretty brutal.
qualifiers, and Hendry's beaten again. So now everyone's screaming, retire, retire. It's time for you to retire, Jimmy. I don't think he should. He loves it. It's what he loves. It's what he was born to do. And he's given enough to the game that warrants him staying on for a little bit longer, for as long as he wants to. That's my opinion.
What about you,
I
Mike?
guess it has to make sense financially, and I think that's kind of been a lot of, we talk about the greatest of all time in pool, in Efren, and I know he went on a few farewell tours, like reminds me of Kiss, right? Every year they go play shows, and every year it's the last go. And I think I remember hearing somewhere that Efren just said it just doesn't make sense anymore, to go and pay to travel all over the world, and then you're paying entry fees, and now the backers aren't as deep as they were before, as far as having a bunch of guys behind him, because he's lost a step. And I saw him last Derby in the one pocket. I mean, unfortunately, he was kind of a shell of himself. And then I see him go and play with Bustamante in that Sharks tournament here recently, and he played pretty sporty. So it's tough to say. I don't know. I guess as long as it still makes sense for them to go and do it financially, go live out your dream, man. I don't care how long you want to go and do it. And speaking of Ralph plays good damn 9-ball still. He really does. I know he's not in the World Cup of pool with Filler, and I think Joshua went on a podcast saying that he essentially went and recommended the guy who he's playing with, who I've never heard of, and I watch a lot of European pool. And that's fair too, kind of a changing of the guards. I can understand that. But yeah, I mean, I guess as long as it makes sense for them, go live your dream, man.
Absolutely.
So Kenneth Felton asks a really interesting question. If there was a senior tour 50 plus, by the way, I believe this is the Ken Felton that did the cameras for the Havoc events when we were up in Colorado, and he's got these cameras that he can ship out to you, and then you can stream with them and everything. So thanks for joining, Ken. But he says that there was a senior tour 50 plus, who would be the top player right now? Earl Strickland? What do you think?
Bustamante and Ralph, I think.
Bustamante?
In that. Yeah.
And
Bustamante still plays real
What
good.
about Strickland?
And Ralph, yeah. They all, Earl's not too far removed from playing in the final of Turning Stone, and there was a couple of great players in there, and I know he gave Shane all he can go and handle in that final, and I guess it depends on who you ask, right? Because there's older people that are going to want to go and see Earl play all day, every day, and I think Earl's made for TV. I always want to see him go and play pool, especially if he misses, right? I mean, it's because I want to see the meltdown too, right? That's part of it, but just from a pure play standpoint, he can go and play 9-ball pool. He ain't going to beat nobody playing 10-ball, but he can play 9-ball still.
You got any thoughts on that one, Mark?
No.
Seniors tour? No? Nothing? You got nothing?
Nothing.
Mark, you can't have nothing.
I'm just looking at some comments in the chat, and somebody's saying some players like Efren can be boosted only if there's big money. It's sort of along the lines of what you were saying, Mike. But there's a seniors snooker tour, but unfortunately no one wants to watch it really, because all it is what I was saying earlier. It's the guys playing that you grew up watching and are idolized back in the day.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they're not playing as good as they were anymore, and you don't want to watch them. Basically, it's more for them and to keep them earning a little bit of money, I think.
We've been saying this about Tom Brady in American football for the last 8 to 10 years. The decline's coming, and you're right, Joey. At a certain point, Mother Nature is undefeated. It does not matter who you are; Mother Nature's always going to go and win, right? But certain people just defy logic and keep on pushing the envelope. And Earl is very healthy and runs, what does he run, like 5 miles a day or something every single day? I don't even do that, man. He's got me beat by decades, So
I run
he'll tell you
when
till
I'm
he's blue
chased,
in the
Mike.
face. I believe. No, but I mean, like, he's an athlete too, and I don't know, man. It's just Q Sports is kind of different, right? Because you're not getting beat up, or you're not getting hit, you're not running up and down the court. I mean, I know you're on your feet a lot.
Yeah.
I think the biggest hurdle is
It depends who you're
once your eyes
playing.
go.
Mike. Depends who you're playing.
Yeah, that's
True. Yeah.
Hey, well, this one pocket tournament that's coming up, I think it's at the end of
Efren's in
May. Buffalo, yeah. Efren's in it. Bustamante's in it. I saw today Silver Ochoa's in it, which is going to be interesting because I didn't think he played anymore. I know he's got kids and stuff, so I was really excited to see that name. Mark, this is a one pocket tournament with a $2,000 entry fee, so it's only going to have the top players in it, and it's in New Orleans at Buffalo's. And that's going to be quite a tournament. We'll have to talk about that on future episodes. So, Mark, we wanted to mention.
Boys.
Oh, you're going to be there? Maybe I'll meet you down there. Mark, we wanted to talk a little bit about the pool community losing someone this week, and just give a little tribute. So, you want to take that one?
Yes, please. This means a lot to me as well. I knew Jalal Al-Surisi quite well. There he is on your screens now. He was just a fantastic player. Talk about stroke, beautiful stroke. Could put the cue ball on a dime every single time. He was a real gentleman. He was a lovely guy, very polite. I commentated on him so many times. We had some great interviews together, and it really is so sad. He was an international. He was loved. I know he used to tour America as well. He was there actually not long ago, I believe. Mike, did you see him there?
I didn't. I was supposed to be at that event in Texas, and I know he won a regional event in Dallas also at the beginning of the year. Jalal was. I've met him a couple times and I've seen him around Texas quite a bit because Carlos is from Texas and he was his manager and state course, I guess, whenever they were here. And Jalal was one of those guys that you always saw in the pool room. He was larger than life, literally, and an absolute gentleman, super nice, scary looking, right? Because he was so tall and big, but he was just a real pleasure to go and watch play pool also because he had an amazing talent.
Could you just put that picture back up for me a second, please, Mike? Just put that. Look at his eyes. Look at them eyes, Mike. Yeah. Look at them eyes. Look.
Yeah. I gotten a message like at 5 a.m. the day after the Sky match from this gentleman overseas who had told me he had passed away, and I didn't know what relationship he had with him at the time. My first reaction is to go and message Carlos, and then I bring up Facebook and I saw he had already posted about it, so then I knew it was true, and it was just gut wrenching. Then come to find out he's got a wife and 2 kids, and
baby of 2 months.
That just hits on a whole other level.
Yeah. I had never met him. I had never met him, but now that I'm connected with so many pool players from throughout the country, people I really respect, and it seems like everybody that I do respect from the pool community that has met him has had nothing but amazing things to say about him and the kind of person he was and competitor he was. So I kind of feel like that's one that, slipped away. I didn't get a chance to meet him. And by all accounts, he was just a truly great person and a great pool player. So, I know my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, obviously, little kids. It's tragic. So, yeah.
Yeah, just 42 years old.
A good one.
Yeah, 42-year-old Jalal Al-Surisi, who passed away this week. The pool community, once again, mourns a great guy who's gone. And, I guess that's a good time to end this week's show. What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of ground this week. Monica was awesome. Never met her before, so I was really excited to meet her. And guys, if you're ever down in Georgia, it looks like her room might be like 30 minutes outside of Atlanta. Check it out. Support the people in the game that have rooms and that are trying to do good things for the game. Go play on that 10-foot table that she has. And
Go buy lunch, right? Because that food looked good on that.
here, I'm gonna put that back up. I told you I haven't eaten yet.
Right. I'm kidding.
I'm kind of hungry. It looks good. It's
starving.
called
Yeah, no
Sticks
kidding.
Billiards and Sports Bar. Check them out. It's at Sticks Sports on Facebook. So check them out and check out Monica's place. It sounds like you guys won't be disappointed. So thanks again to Monica Webb for joining us. And Mark, give them a quick preview of what we got next week. Got something interesting.
We've got something. By the way, just as you put that picture up, there's a call now button, and I'm clicking it, trying to order one of them burgers. I'm so hungry, and it's not working. It's your screenshot. I bet you'll be getting one. Next week's show is going to be a great one. The big game from this week, of course, was Skyler Woodward, and you mentioned Mike there that Deborah Woodward was there, and we are going to have her on the show next week. She's going to be here, Deborah. And also with her on the show is going to be Billy Thorpe's mum, Amanda Thorpe. So we're going to have a great laugh next week, aren't we, Mike?
I'm going to get their comments.
I'm going to represent Team USA. You heard it here first. Looking at those two boys are going to be representing Team USA in this year's World Cup of Pool. And Matchroom's going to hit me for saying it, but I'll bet the farm on it.
Wow.
And that's part of Shane's not in it for whatever politics you want to go and say as to why he didn't get chosen. It wasn't because he didn't want to go and play in that event. But it is going to be Sky and Billy. We know they got great chemistry. And we know Sky's hitting them good. So
wait a minute. This is inside information, Mike? You're
take it to the bank. I'm telling you.
Take it to the bank.
I'd bet the house on it. It's going to be Sky and Billy, Team New Cheek, Team Mullet, and we're going to have the mamas on next week. So make sure and tune in.
I think we're also going to have the promoter of this event, the Freedom Flapper King event, where Sky and Billy are going to play each other. And I really want to get the mom's perspective. I want to get them a little fired up and get them to make a prediction next week. Mark, what do you think?
I want to hear who's going to win. Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
And whose son is better?
That could get very, very interesting.
I'm staying out of it.
You know how protective mothers get over their children. That's going to be very, very interesting. Just while you're talking,
tread lightly.
While you're talking about the World Cup of Pool, I just want to say congratulations to a good friend of mine, Christoph Rentes, who's going to be the partner to Joshua Filler. Watch out for this guy. I don't know if you've seen him play before.
Yeah,
he has got the most beautiful, smooth cue action. Zoe, I'm going to teach you that cue action. I want you to get...
For Filler, don't pick him. He's got to play awesome.
Absolutely right. And I'll tell you what, he's a great pick. He was one of our most consistent players on Sharpshooter World Remote Pool, right? Commentated on him a lot as well. Great. He was the most consistent. He's from Germany, of course, and we used to call him the Silver Mercedes. Yeah, we'll get him on next week, maybe. Let's get him on next week. What about that?
Yeah.
And get Josh too while you're at it, Mark.
Okay, we'll try, shall we? Why not? Let's get everyone.
You talk to Pia all the time. Get them both on.
Yeah, Pia loves my pizzas.
There you go. Awesome. Well, guys, it was another fun week. We appreciate you joining. We appreciate the comments. Thanks, everybody. We will be back next week with another great show. Till next week.
See you, boys.
See ya.